So Treasury said that we are taking 30% in our next financial year. I mean, if you take 12 billion from our budget, health will suffer, education will suffer. So that level of debate took long, and we could not then start the process of removing the etolls until January this year. We met with the Minister of Transport, Treasury, and say, this is how we want to repay the 12 billion. Don't take it from our budget. We'll go to financial institutions that.
So it seems like the Etoll gantries will not be switched off on the 31st of March, as Premier Lesotho had promised us all to do. He missed the deadline to gazette for the scrapping of the etolls and then the switching off of it.
We have agreed that we will refund to those that have paid. It's close to 6.9 billion rand. So it's a lot of amount of money. But the debate that is outstanding, or the manner of refunds, is what is outstanding. Are we refunding them through cash, or are we refunding them through rebates, which simply means that if they use other normal tolling gates, then they will get it. There is now a firm decision to really scrap it.
So the etolls is for obvious reasons a political playground, mainly because, you know, I'm feeling like the joke is on me, you, and every South African, because this, I'll just show you the history. This recently, the DA has been timing and trying to embarrass the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi by showing him that he's going to miss the deadline and. But of course, he pulled a rabbit off a head, and he showed that he will beat the deadline. And voila, the etolls are gone. And whether other things in terms of how is it going to implement, people losing their jobs, that is a bit more complicated. Just listen to. I just want to show you the history and how I feel. Stockholm syndrome, because like load shedding, these guys. So the history is, in 2007, cabinet approved this thing. They went to parliament, they did everything, and then they said, okay, it's going to be 21 billion, by the way. And they just wanted to, all the Gauteng major highways, it gave us the R21, for example. They went on it, and here's the history. You see the billions and billions and billions. So the players, let's just talk about the people. I mean, at some point, and it's funny because the Zuma people will say he's pro-poor, and I mean the administration of Jacob Zuma, we would know, even if Jacob Zuma says he's pro-poor, he failed to manage pro-poor things. Whether it's because of him or because of who he's leading with, and this is where MK will see if he leads MK. He failed to produce pro-poor results. This is one of those examples. So what happened was all this, I mean, the Mbekis, everyone started working on this. But the people that I remember who did not support this would be Makura, and who at least came out publicly. And Bombalula, we don't show how far they went with it, but prominent against this is Tito Mboweni. Tito Mboweni didn't feel this thing should go away, because he felt if you use it, you must pay for it. And so it's almost like land. We've seen how land redistribution is very difficult if you use that system they call willing seller, willing buyer. Those things are not working. But in 2007, it started 21 billion, and they went to court, blah, 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 but it never produced any results. And what it is now is 43 billion. And this 43 billion, I ask myself, we are the joke, because whether we celebrate with ANC, with DA, whoever, the bottom line is we are paying for it. We might not be paying for it directly as users, but the whole South Africa will be paying for it. Someone who's sitting in in the Karoo will be paying for Gauteng things, because they'll be taking money from all over. Makura explains it. You could follow how he says he's going to play it. My worry is the Etoll, and those who owe, like myself. I've never paid for Etoll. I've never paid, and so meaning I also have to pay. But here's the interesting thing about Etoll. So they say they're going to repurpose the gantries. The gantries are these beautiful structures there. They're going to repurpose it. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Maybe they know. For instance, I would feel I don't know what they will do with the gantries, but one of the biggest benefits that I was also waiting for these etolls to collapse before I get a tag, because I'm afraid if I get a tag while I owe etoll, what they will do is they'll just take my money and make me pay. But now that the etoll is no longer there, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen, because I need a tag. Because with that tag, if I'm going to N1 Limpopo during those hectic days, at least I'll be able to use the express lane. I use the N4 a lot, and not much the N1, and I've got 2 toll gates that are bothering me. They've got express lanes, so if I've got that e-tag, it's one of the best things that you could use. Maybe we'll get benefit from there, but it's very difficult to tell South Africa as it is. I've been to Botswana. I don't remember seeing e-tolls. I've been to e-tolls and toll gates. I've been to Swaziland. I can't between Swaziland and Mbabane there are no toll gates. Swaziland, Mbabane, the Oshuk, and I don't remember seeing any of them. I've seen them in Mozambique, the toll gates. So you need to compare in South Africa, and it's very difficult to tell if we are paying more or not. But being there as it may, the necessity of toll gates, I see them. It's just that the negativity of the e-tolls has I think it's mainly driven by the politics around it. But I'm not in any way saying toll gates are unnecessary. The problem is, let me give you another problem. So you see in Limpopo, during the pilgrimage of Easter and December, what you see there, you see greed over-exaggerated, because what happens is you find queues and queues of people waiting to go into the toll gates, and they cannot open enough for the people to go through, because they want to milk every single motorist to death. It is only when it becomes unbearable, then it embarrasses them, they open the booms for everyone to pass. But this is just the negative part of it, and that of course the abusers will start abusing the money. But all I'm saying is ANC, well, I don't want to say they robbed us, but the ANC are not heroes for taking down the etolls. They are not heroes because they came with the problem, and doing away with the problem does not make them a hero. In fact, it makes them a villain, because at the first place they are the one who brought it. Like I say with ESCOM problems, they brought the problem. So if they take it away, they're actually not heroes. They're still the same villains, because they traumatize us with this thing. But anyway, let's see how far, what others are saying about it, and then let's talk. Sharp.
We have agreed that we will refund to those that have paid. It's close to 6.9 billion rands. So it's a lot of amount of money. But the debate that is outstanding, or the manner of refunds, is what is outstanding. Are we refunding them through cash, or are we refunding them through rebates, which means that if they use other normal tolling gates, then they will get it. There is now a firm decision to really scrap them.
So it seems like the etoll gantries will not be switched off on the 31st of March, as Premier Lesofie had promised us all to do. He missed the deadline to gazette for the scrapping of the etolls and then the switching off of the gantries. There seems to be still some form.
To some good news, from midnight tomorrow, motorists will no longer be charged for using Gauteng's e-toll roads. Transport Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga has confirmed the scrapping of the system. She says the South African National Roads Agency Limited will be able to borrow from Treasury to make up for the e-toll revenue used for road infrastructure. The gantries will now be used to help fight crime.
But I'm excited, Minister, that after those intense, difficult, and painful negotiations, we stand on the side of history, that come midnight tomorrow, all these things will be history, and indeed etolls will no longer be a portion of collecting revenue in our province. So, Minister, I want to thank you. I also want to thank the Minister of Finance, Minister Enoch Gondongban, for the difficult negotiations that we held. The political council that was dealing with this matter, consisting of our MEC responsible for transport, together with the MEC responsible for finance in our province, is an indication that if we indeed open-mindedly engaged on matters that affects our citizens, we can come out with a resolution.
The system of etolls was implemented after some consultation had taken place. Was it enough? And could we have done stakeholder engagement differently? Clearly, the resistance by Gauteng motorists and various other stakeholders suggest we could have consulted widely and done things differently. But that is, of course, now water under the bridge. This matter caused a lot of public aggravation and was indeed of great concern to Cabinet of South Africa. It is a concern that led to the formation of 3-member committee made up of the Minister of Transport, Minister of Finance, and Gauteng Premier. These were charged by President Cyril Ramaphosa in July 2019 to find a solution to the impasse. One of the issues we had to grapple with as a committee was how SANRAL was going to repay the debt it incurred to build this infrastructure. And how do we ensure that the roads remain up to the standards to which our road users have now become accustomed? It has not been an easy process, and decision, of course, was not easy, because we essentially were being asked to deviate from a principle that is universally accepted, that is, you have to pay for whatever you use. That is why in South Africa, we even have pick and pay. You will recall that the Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwana, announced in his medium-term budget policy statement in 2022 that alternative funding is being found for the GFIP debt, effectively ending etolls. When the Minister of Finance made this announcement, he was not incorrect, but there was still a long road ahead. Between myself, as the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Enoch Godongwana, and the Gauteng Premier, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, we finally reached agreement towards the end of March on how to conclusively deal with the debt resulting from the etolls, and as a result, we're able to sign a memorandum of agreement to formalize alternative funding solutions for the GFIP debt repayment and deal with the backlog of maintenance and rehabilitation costs. We agreed that the MOA would also regulate the financial and funding contributions towards the SANRAL liability in compliance with the policy objectives and institutional framework for road infrastructure management in South Africa. We were unanimous that terms needed to be set in black and white on the MOA for the Gauteng province to contribute to the backlog of maintenance and rehabilitation cost.